מזמור לדוד. אדוני רואי לא אחסר, בהנה דשא ירביצני על מי מנוחות ינעלני. נפשי ישובב ינחני במגלית צדק למען שמו, גם כי ילך וכיצל מוות לא ידע רע כי אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צורריי, דשנת בשמן ראשי. כוסי רוויה, אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימי. The words of the 23rd Psalm. Psalm of David. Adonai is my shepherd, I shall not want. Giving me repose in green meadows, leading me beside the still waters to revive my spirit. Guiding me on the right path, for that is God's essence. Though I walk through a valley of the shadow of death, I fear no harm, for you are with me. Your staff and your rod comfort me. You prepare a banquet for me in the presence of my foes. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and kindness shall be my portion all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of Adonai forever. So we are gathered here this afternoon, sadly to say goodbye to Victoria Levine of blessed memory, who was known to the Jewish people by her Hebrew name, Vita Chana, but Shlomo Avigdor Vetova, Zichronah Livracha. The daughter of Samuel and Tilly Lieberson of blessed memory, the wife of the late Howard Levine, blessed memory, the sister of Ernest, Fred, George, and Louis of blessed memory, the mother of Cheryl Levine and Steve Heyman, and Mark and Janice Levine, the grandmother of Tia, Sean, Carrie, Hart, and Michelle, the great-grandmother of Joy, Joshua, Ethan, and Caitlin, and Christopher. Victoria passed away May 14th, surrounded by family, at the age of 96. So today we are saying farewell to a woman who lived her life with an open heart and open arms to everyone. In Judaism, we have a very important mitzvah, commandment, called Hachnasat Orchim, which is literally translated as welcoming guests. In other words, living a life like Victoria's life, with an open heart and open arms. We read in the Torah the story of Abraham, our first father, who left an audience with God to go take care of his guests, teaching us that Hachnasat Orchim, being welcoming, takes precedence over speaking to the divine presence. Abraham will actively seek guests. He will give them food that was of better quality than they were used to receiving. He built roadside stands with food and drink for travelers. Abraham didn't stay waiting for opportunities to help others, but he actively pursued those opportunities. Not much difference of Victoria's multiple organizations where she volunteered looking for opportunities to help others. The Talmud goes through the entire story of Abraham, step by step, explaining how the Jewish people were eventually repaid by God because of Abraham's acts of kindness. Victoria was also a very active person with many friends. And we read in the Talmud that life without friendly companionships is unthinkable. When the legendary miracle worker, Honi, the circle maker, woke from 70 years of sleep, he faced despair because he was shunned by a new generation of scholars who neither recognized nor attended to him. In his suffering, Honi prayed for death to release him from loneliness, prompting an unnamed sage to utter either friendship or death. The benefits of friendship are appreciated by Jewish tradition. Ecclesiastes wrote, "Two are better than one, because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him that is alone when he falls, because he has no another to help him up." Friendship is clearly more than a social connection in the Jewish context. Friends like Victoria offer each other help, loyalty, protection, support, unselfish love, and moral guidance. Judaism defines friendship as one of the primary relationships in life, a tie at times exceeding that which bonds blood relatives. Victoria was very friendly and always presented herself with a happy demeanor. Rabbi Abraham Pam emphasized the importance of smiling and maintaining a friendly disposition toward others. The ability to perform acts of kindness is not limited to those with time and money. A person can do kindness, like Victoria, with a smile or a friendly word. With minimal time or effort, one can brighten a person's day. The opposite is also true. Walking around with an unhappy expression on one's face can cause other people pain. So, out of all the meaningful traditions we have in Jewish funerals, perhaps the most important one is the eulogy. The eulogy, has biblical roots, as we see that our father Abraham eulogized Sarah, his wife. The word eulogy means a good word. Giving a eulogy is a way to honor a person's life. It is also a way to provide comfort for those who are heartbroken. The eulogy expresses sorrow for the loss, yet it celebrates and finds meaning in the person's life. The eulogy is the tool to remind us that not everything gets buried. In fact, the most important part of our existence, our values, our contributions to society, to friends, to family, they stay with us. So to begin the process of eulogizing Victoria Levine, I would like to invite first one of her grandchildren, Hart Levine, to come forward to eulogize Victoria.
For everyone in attendance here today, my name is Hart Levine. I'm Victoria's grandson. Thanks for being here to show your love and condolences with our family. Grandma, Vicky, or Victoria to some, was a very loving woman. The family dynamic with Grandma over the years certainly changed as time went on from my eyes. Throughout all the events, the anniversaries, birthdays, bar and bat mitzvahs, Grandma was like the matriarch of the Levine family. She wanted to make sure everyone was well, everyone was fed, but not just fed, stuffed. With 97th birthday coming up, there were quite a few stories to tell over the 40 years that I've been around for. And I'd like to talk about some of those stories or facts to note about Grandma. Those here today know that Grandma, in her younger, more active years, would know of her amazing ability to create wonderful desserts and meals. Sadly, most of us wouldn't have experienced that chef that was in the Levine household as my father and aunt did. Torts and Asian noodle dishes that were the talk of the town. When you had asked if she would give you the recipe, because her cooking was so amazing, she would modestly let you know that if you wanted it, she would make one for you, no problem. This would later come to be known as the stolen recipe. Grandma loved children, her great-grandchildren specifically. They put a bright smile on her face whenever we got together, out for dinner or at the house, where they would get on her lap and give her hugs and kisses, and smile for a picture or three. She was certainly in her happy place around the great-grandchildren and always wanted to know when she would get to see them next, even if they played her piano at her house with their own style and very little grace. Grandma was an avid sports event attendee. She spent countless years near the 50-yard line at the Bombers games, rain or shine. However, she did prefer the shine. But the rain certainly did not deter her from sitting in the stands with homemade rain gear on, and her and Grandpa to protect them from the rain. For those who don't know, Grandma wore grocery bags on her head to ensure her hair stayed dry and in perfect placement. This was a testament to her ability to let her hair down and still have fun, even if the entire getup was to keep her hair up, so to speak. The ability to not take herself too seriously as time went on became one of the most endearing things I can tell you about my grandmother. She lived life more than most get to, and she certainly maintained that sense of humor all the way to the end. With that, Grandma's most well-known expression, at least within the immediate family circle, was, "I'm carrying radishes," or "Radachtoger." That expression was used more and more over the years as stories became more and more difficult to decipher, understand, and communicate with one another, simply due to the fogginess. At which point, someone would just throw out, "Okay, I'm carrying radishes, let's move on," and everyone would get a good laugh. We would get a laugh, and Grandma would smile and laugh something just short of hysterically, and that is how I would like everyone to remember Grandma, loving life, laughing, and smiling, and I'm sure she would like the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Hart. I would like to invite now one of Victoria's nieces, Arlis, please.
Recently, after the tragic passing of my aunt, Victoria Levine, I was asked to give a eulogy about her life. This seemed like a huge undertaking. What do you say in a few minutes to describe almost 97 years that she left her mark on the world? I remember our first meeting during my teenage years when I visited from Calgary. We arrived at an immaculate home with two happy kids, Mark and Cheryl, and a gathering of friends from the neighborhood. In the kitchen was Victoria, cooking a scrumptious meal, dressed beautifully, and running the entire production with the ease of Martha Stewart and the clockwork of a Switch watch. I realized very quickly that this wasn't just my newfound family, this was the royal family with the leadership of Queen Victoria. Anyone who was lucky enough to be invited into her court will always remember the mark that she left on their hearts. Born to be queen of her household with a quiet but effective leadership. A stylish dresser with the elegant style of Princess Grace Kelly. A caring heart for her admiring followers like the People's Princess Diana. An inborn attention to duty to her courtesans like Queen Elizabeth. This was our Queen Victoria. Everyone from around the kingdom would find excuses to come to her castle. They knew that the food was delicious, the atmosphere fun and welcoming, the home immaculate, and the atmosphere was like a hearth radiating warmth and comfort. It was a safe haven where the special matron would wrap you in a blanket of love and assurance. Vicky was born Victoria Lieberson in 1922 in Chicago. Her parents, Sam and Tilly, had migrated from Odessa and raised 4 sons. And then luckily, a beautiful daughter, the star, was born. She was the apple of her dad's eyes and was treated like a precious porcelain doll by all her doting brothers. Perhaps this protective environment gave birth to her innocent view of the world. In her terms, all people are genuinely good if you can just nurture them. Like many women of that era, she was raised with the ideal that her goal in life was to marry well, be a mother and housewife. She achieved all those objectives, but she still set out to graduate from Northwestern University, take pre-med courses with the objective of being a dietitian. That education served her well as she became known across the city for her marvelous baking. At a later date, she actually developed the torte recipes that became staples in the bar mitzvah circuits. She befriended a girl in her late teens who knew our Aunt Bess, Howard Levine's sister. Bess was a bit of a matchmaker and was on the lookout for the right catch for her baby brother. After all, at age 17, he was an available bachelor and should be hitched before he gets too old. The minute this friend introduced Bess to Vicky, it was like the Yenta, the matchmaker's best catch of the day. Fishing for the right match, she must make an arrangement to have them meet so they could become hooked together. Vicky was a proper girl from a well-to-do and respected Jewish family. Howard was extremely handsome like a movie star. It was the perfect combination. Howard was anticipating the dinner at Bessie's house where they would meet. He had a backup plan, though, after dinner, if it did not go well, as blind dates are not always a success. Vicky was always fashionably late and took a little too long to dress and coif herself. The dinner was already finished, so Howard assumed it was another no-show. This is when the famous fire escape story follows. It is reminiscent of the Pretty Woman movie. Howard was actually escaping Bess's tenement building, going down the fire escape stairwell to the building, when a magnificent creature arrived. He took one look at Vicky coming up the stairs and decided not to exit stage left. It was literally love at first sight for this young couple, although she was never on time from that minute on, as you all know. During the courtship that followed, Howard joined the 3rd Division U.S. Army under General Patton. He was twice wounded in the Battle of the Bulge. This was an awful period during the war when he went MIA, and Vicky thought that she had lost her first and only love. Luckily, he was tracked down in the hospital after having a finger blown off. He managed to have it reattached and then got attached to his love, Vicky. He was decorated with the Purple Heart and many other honors for bravery. Vicky decorated his heart by agreeing to become engaged to her war hero. Their marriage was to be a very big production. The Lieberson family was well connected in Chicago. The mayor and many other dignitaries and socialites were invited to the fancy Drake Hotel in 1946 for the wedding of the year. Ironically, Vicky became extremely ill on her wedding day. The date couldn't be adjusted as the hotel, flowers, band, and other arrangements were not refundable. According to Jewish tradition, you don't cancel weddings as it's considered to be bad luck. So poor Vicky was pushed down the aisle in a wheelchair to say her vows, suffering from a very high fever and unable to stand upright. She was then whisked away after the ceremony to spend her honeymoon suffering in bed. Well, their vows were for better or worse. However, this worse start must have been a test of their aptitude for life's ups and downs. The better part lasted as the couple spent almost 65 years together in a honeymoon state. Howard would often comment to everyone, "Look at this beautiful woman. Do you see anyone else in this room who holds a candle to your mother?" Their love glowed and lit up the room. They were lifelong lovebirds, always holding hands. When Howard opened up the Chicago nightclub Rancho Don Carlos, Vicky got the honor of meeting world-famous performers there, such as Myron Cohn, Robert Goulet, and Bob Hope. Or we say they had the honor of meeting her. After all, royalty trumps fame, correct? While her husband took over the financial aspects of their partnership, Vicky became the consummate queen of the household. Howard loved having Vicky organize the household while he took care of business matters. He wouldn't leave the house until she had freshly pressed and arranged a carefully matched ensemble spread out for him to dress in. When he came home from work, she had prepared a tasty meal and soothed his nerves if he'd had a bad day at the office. It was really a well-arranged partnership. Vicky found her niche by joining B'nai B'rith and representing them as a volunteer at the Misericordia Hospital. She had such exquisite taste that they put her in charge of buying all the gifts for that shop. Those years of running this program produced top sales for that gift shop, which provided needed funds for charity. She was honored for her many years of volunteerism and became president of the Women's Auxiliary. She was also a member of Shriners, as well as the Women's Auxiliary for the Order of the Eastern Star by invitation only. As a talented musician, Vicky would play the piano at their meetings. Supporting her community was always very important to Vicky. She had season's tickets to support all the arts, such as the Royal Winnipeg Ballet, the Symphony, and Manitoba Theatre Centre since its inception. Besides the arts, she had season's tickets to the Gold Eyes and Bombers. Did I mention that she was still attending all these activities till a few months ago when she got sick? The joke with all her care providers was, "Where's Vicky? It's 11 o'clock at night, and she's not home for us to give her eye drops or her medication." How many people in their 90s are out every night? She adored mothering her two children. Vicky was very proud of her handsome son, Mark, who had so many achievements, including becoming a successful lawyer. Along with his wife, Janice, they expanded the family unit with two sons, Sean and wife, Carrie, Hart and wife, Michelle, and 5 grandchildren, Caitlin, Joshua, Ethan, Joey, and Christopher. Her devoted daughter, Cheryl, had a special bond with her mother. I believe that she may not have lingered after her husband passed away 8 years ago, but Cheryl insisted that she eat, go out, and enjoy whatever ounce of life was left in that body. She was extremely lucky to have 24-hour-a-day support from Cheryl right to the end. Her nursing degree actually came in handy as she managed every aspect of Vicky's healthcare and fought for her in the hospital against a very bureaucratic system where elderly people are treated like a number. Steve Heyman, Cheryl's loving partner, was a solid foundation that Vicky could depend on and looked up to for your very wise guidance. He took care of the household in a quiet and calm manner that helped everyone to function effectively. He brought along his daughters, Samara, Kira, and fiance Cole as other additions to this loving family unit. Vicky was very proud and in awe of her beautiful granddaughter, Tia, for all the education and her work ethic that she's achieved. Whenever Tia had a setback, her grandmother would take her aside and ensure that she was the best thing that ever happened to her. Keep up the good work. Tia remarked many times that Vicky was the most influential person in her life and someone that was her ideal and her mentor. I will now mention a few of the many friends that supported Vicky in her later years. Fred Switzer, her companion in the later years. Vicky always looked forward to your fun outings with a nice younger man. Krista, Cindy, Irina, the aesthetics and cleaning crew for treating Vicky to manicures, massages, and hair to keep up that royal appearance. They always stayed longer than they necessarily had to and drove across the city to help her, even in snowstorms. To Girlie Santos, her loving care provider, who Victoria called her angel. They had a special bond at the end of her life. She spent many years in the hospital, helping the family during the illness. Girlie and Cheryl took turns whispering in her ear, "Keep on fighting," literally breathing life into her. We really thank you, Girlie, from the bottom of our hearts for your dedication. To Eileen Creel, a childhood friend, she was always treated like a part of the family for 48 years. And we really appreciate including you in the Simhas. Vicky found and loved all the sleepovers that we had at her house. So we would like to thank anyone we've missed, all the families and friends who gave meaning to Vicky's last years. Usually, elderly people end up isolated and lonely. Thanks to you, that never happened. She was my mother, if not born into the role. She was my role model. To end this dissertation, you have all been very fortunate to be included in Queen Victoria's heart. Her overriding life objective was to have all those close to her be without conflict, happy, and to spark joy, and to have peace throughout her kingdom. Her favorite surprise was when someone spontaneously came up and gave her a hug or a kiss. Now, this is based on her last wishes that she was quoting in the hospital. I would like everyone to turn to their neighbor right now and give them a hug or a kiss. Queen Victoria has pronounced this.
Thank you, Arlis. May the memory of Victoria Levine be a blessing and a source of comfort for everyone. Please rise now for the memorial prayer, the El Maleh Rachamim. El Maleh Rachamim Shochem Bameroimim Hametzeh Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei HaShekhinah ומעלות קדושים, קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע המזהירים, את נשמת ויתחנה בת שלמה ויקטור וטובה שעליך לעולמה בעבור שאנו מתפללים ועד הצקרת נשמתה בגן עדן בגן עדן תהי מנוחתה לכם על הרחמים יעשתי ראיה וסדר כנף לעולמים וצרור בצרור החיים החיים את נשמתה אדוני ונחלתה ותנוח ושלום על משכבה ונאמר Amen. Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure to the soul of Victoria Levine, who has gone to her eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. May she rest in peace. And let us say, Amen. You may be seated. In a few minutes, we are going to proceed in caravan fashion to the Shari Zedek Cemetery, located in the corner of Armstrong and Main Street. But if you are coming with us to the cemetery, please try to keep the caravan formation and remember to turn on your four-way flashers to identify your car, and please stop at stop sign and red lights. Immediately after burial, we are going to return here at the Shari Zedek for the meal of consolation. Shiva will be observed on Friday, 2 to 4 p.m., and Sunday and Monday, 7 to 9 p.m., at 55 Swindon Way. Again, tomorrow from 2 to 4 p.m., and Sunday and Monday, 7 to 9 p.m. There is no Shiva visits on Saturday because it's the Sabbath day. We don't have formal Shiva on Shabbat. And I would like to let you know donations on Victoria's memory could be made to the Victoria and Howard Levine Memorial Fund at the Jewish Foundation of Manitoba. So now it's time to move on to the next stage, which is the transportation of the casket to the hearse. For that, I would like to invite the pallbearers to exit now and to assume their places alongside Victoria's coffin, please. And honoring Shari Zedek tradition, immediate family exits now to proceed directly to their transportation. And for the rest of us, in a few minutes, we're going to exit the building, and the tradition is to form two lines outside of the building so the casket can find its way to the hearse in between those two lines. So thank you all for coming. It's time to continue with the next stage right now.